Hi, everybody. This is day 1571 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. And we're getting terrible news. That's good news. And I'll explain that to you. So let me make sure that I'm on Facebook, that I can see everyone's questions. Okay. Here we go. I hope everyone can hear, and I hope I don't touch this because it's a little sensitive. Let me know if my sound goes out. I think this is a much better microphone. We are at 1,571 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered as a code red on Fort Bliss. The military involved, absolutely. Okay, look, evidence confirms that Richard's military command were involved in this absolutely horrific case, that they are criminal in this horrific case. And this is very important right now because of the connections. There are connections with Richard's case to Arizona, and we are keeping a really close eye on what is happening with this Senate race with Kari Lake. Like I said, like I've been telling everyone, this case is really, really big. It's really big, y'all. I'm not lying. I'm not over exaggerating. And the players, the very bad actors, like Lieutenant General, that's a 3-star general, Sean Bernabe, like the retired 4-star general, Mealy, 4-star general, McConville, 3-star general, Donna Martin. Donna Martin, she needs to be court-martialed. She's IG. She was a provost marshal. She is, I don't know what kind of plea deals are going on behind the scenes. I don't know what kind of deals are making. We are hearing rumblings of things going on behind the scenes. The Pentagon is, they, I hope they're shaking in their boots. I hope they're shaking in their boots. And we are, tomorrow's Veterans Day, we are major pro our veterans. That is why we're doing this for over 4 years. We are pro our veterans. We are pro our country, pro our military. And our military has been infiltrated. HR, human resources, they need to take a good look at them, right? A good look because, and the Senate needs to be looked at closely too, because how in the hell did Donna Martin get a 3rd star through this and not get court-martialed? How in the hell did Sean Bernabe get a 3rd star? They need to be stripped out of our beautiful uniforms, stripped from ever wearing our uniform, the stars, the flag. They are absolute traitors, along with so many more. So many more. And that has to be one of our biggest hopes in this, as a result of this victory in this election. And we absolutely have done everything we possibly could. Hold on, I need to take this off. Everything that we possibly can to record and file, document and file, so that every agency knows the absolute horrific crimes that have been committed. And we received some nice messages. It, you know, I'm so careful because we have to stay so vigilant and so focused, because there's so many lives on the line, and there's our country on the line. And when you have this kind of victory, and I'm not really talking about President Donald Trump, even though ever since 2015, since I downloaded his financials and took a good look at where he was putting his treasures, how he was making his money, I was convinced that we needed to give him a chance as President of the United States. Absolutely have supported him since then. Saw him get retaliated against. Saw him, attempted assassinations. And those that attempted to assassinate are connected to Richard's case. Okay, I'll go out on a limb with that. Okay, I absolutely will, because Richard's case is so big, with the criminal trafficking. The narcotics trafficking alone is $90 billion a year. This is huge business. But our military equipment and arms, weapons, technology, intelligence, Fort Huachuca is intelligence. So if you're wondering why, they've got to hold on to something in Arizona, there's the military has been placing their foreign and domestic servants, foreign and domestic enemies, the enemies of the United States, foreign and domestic, their servants into our uniforms with our stars. Because it's big business. It is the trafficking through the border is such big business. And, you don't need me to tell you that has been the battle, and that we have not gotten accountability for what we know is criminal activity that has hurt so many of our children, our family members, our country, our economics, everything. Richard is not alone in this. Our family is not alone in this. And you saw it through this election. People want accountability. You can say that they want cheaper prices at the store, that they want, border control, that they want, whatever, but I think that this election was all about the people, for the people, by the people, because they want to stop the weaponization of our government. J6 is a good example of that. What they did to President Trump is a good thing, a good example. What they did to Glendon Oakley Jr. is a good example. And what they did to Richard Halliday with the Code Red is a good example. the weaponization, the what they did to our key whistleblower and what they did to our family is a very, very really, I mean, to the key whistleblower, um, if if y'all only knew, um, the behind the scenes, the weaponization is it's just not absolutely cannot be tolerated, absolutely cannot be forgiven without accountability and restitution. What they have done, they have to be held accountable. They have to pay that restitution. Okay? Um, they have to, because there's no forgiveness and there's no peace without it. Because if they get away, because America and the people, we are so tolerant, despite what the media tells us, despite what the movies tell us. They feed us garbage all the time. Their hypnosis, to try to divide us. I've traveled enough to know that we are a absolutely beautiful country, um, tolerant, the most tolerant, and we mix so well together. And even under all of this, because Jesus brings everyone together. And as long as we keep our Christian roots, and of course, this is my belief and my faith, as long as we keep our Christian faith, Jesus brings everyone together. And that's why our country has been so amazing. Even under this attack, the attack of our children, the attack of, the sex cultists, the attack of, to divide in our countries. I mean, our problems in this country are because of the attacks, our physical health attacks that have been put on us, which has been addressed in this whole election cycle. Clearly, that I can tell you is very different. Our food here is very bad compared to like Europe. Europe, the food is much better. Asia, the food is better. You can get better quality. And that's just, everyone kind of knows that. But what they did to the people involved in this case, that were heroes, that were whistleblowers, that were investigating and reporting, doing their job that they're supposed to be doing, and then being so retaliated against and smeared. That's part of their standard operating procedure, and that all they have to be held accountable for that. And so all this good news, and we're getting such good news, y'all, and such sweet writings. I even posted some of it in different places. I have to look at where I posted it, if I did it in the private Find Richard Halliday groups, or anyway, but I'll post it, because the feedback that we're getting is incredible. And when I go over to TikTok and I see, okay, who's watching, and I see Michael Ruggiero, I'm like, okay, Michael, I hope you're, I know you're unwilling to talk. I hope you're shaking in your boots. I hope you're shaking in your boots. The same with Leilani Hart, your friend, and Dallas Hart, and all this code red stuff that you put together. That was not me. That's Leilani Hart. Leilani Hart reporting on the code red, the code red, um, and, you know, I hope that's why they're watching day in and day out, because they know, the knock knock on the door, on the big door of truth, um, is coming, and they're going to be held accountable. And we're getting reports that more and more whistleblowers are speaking up, more and more unit members are speaking up, um, investigators inside um, the military speaking up. Um, you know, uh, Christopher Ray is out the door. I think he's out the door. Gosh, it's not. They need, as soon as he steps one foot out the door, they need to have law enforcement on the other side, putting him in handcuffs and arresting him. Um, so I am, you know, staying very vigilant, staying very focused with Team Find Richard Halliday to continue to file the documents, continue to file it relentlessly to all of these agencies, um, because there has been a lot of tampering, a lot of sanitizing. You have to continue to file and file and file. And the change in administration, it will stick. It will stick. And this is our faith. This is our, the feedback that we're getting. We have to continuously file everything that we know. It's a book. It is absolutely, it's a series of books, right? It's volumes of books, because there's so many different elements in this case. And, the audio recordings um, that we have received are indication. When we come out with the Jaime Esparza, I'll be working on that this week. Jaime Esparza is the Attorney General for the Western District of Texas, that he was allowed to stay on the case when he was the DA of the 34th Judicial District, which, is the use, the coveted part that they were all fighting over, because whoever is in that DA position can decide on which cases move forward and which cases get investigated, which cases get prosecuted, right? They're the prosecutors. So Jaime Esparza, who had been there for 30 years, I think, almost 30 years, maybe more, in that position, when the Walmart mass shooting case happened, his sister was there in the Walmart, and Joe Spencer reveals that in his audios that Jaime Esparza's sister was in the Walmart, and so this was personal for Jaime Esparza, and that he had then a conflict of interest. But Joe Spencer allowed him to stay on the case for 2 years, um, with this kind of conflict of interest. And we're going to explain that to everybody, so that they'll understand that the Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated. And it was orchestrated because of the need to divert law enforcement, Washington, D.C., IG, even the IG that, that was compromised, they still have a duty. And, until they get diverted, until they have to keep on investigating, right? Or, try to pedal backwards, through it all. And so the Walmart mass shooting, in our opinion, I have to put that in there, but evidence confirms that it was used to, that it was orchestrated and it was used to divert attention. And it had other purposes too, but that was the main one. And why were there audits? Why were there investigations? Why, were the IG all over the barracks? Because of Halliday, because of Richard and his whistleblowing complaints. And they knew it, and they were mad at him, and they isolated him, and they physically harmed him, and they denied him um, care. They denied their to they really went after him to intimidate him. And I know that this is true because Richard was on the phone telling me. So they took away his phone. They isolated him from us. That's why, we hadn't heard from him, and we were, which was really unlikely. We're not such a huge phone family, right? Now we are, but at that time, because we were so at peace with everything, and everyone was doing their jobs, and it's like, what was happening in 2020 and losing jobs, and so we were, and it was like, okay, maybe he's in the field, maybe he's busy, whatever. Um, but absolutely, our information is that they took away his phone, that they isolated him, that they caused him physical harm. And this was all premeditated. This was a code red. Um, and they tried to intimidate him, and they had to orchestrate it also. Okay, so they orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting, and they had a lot of work to do around that, to pull that off, especially using a special needs autistic individual, to set him up. What? When did they even take that picture at the Walmart? And who was working at the Walmart? Who was in charge of security at the Walmart? There was no security there on that day. Why not? Walmart Corporation had given them, we are told, upwards of $50,000 for security, because they were alerted that there was a security um, risk coming. And yeah, that is really something. Um, so more and more information is coming out, because more and more people are coming forward. And you know, I just want to say Michael Ruggiero's name was mentioned. Um, so that is, that explains a lot, right? With Dallas Hart, and and others involved in all of this that we have named, not too often, but you will notice them when they come out. And we're getting feedback that people are coming to bat for us behind the scenes that we don't even know about. Um, so that is really, really good news, that they've been waiting for this, and they just had to get the change of administration in there so that they could get the accountability. For sure, you hear it everywhere, that those that were in the Trump camp, and the Trump family, that have been so hurt, so retaliated. And I'm going to tell you, I absolutely understand, but I can't even fathom the level that they experience. But I absolutely believe it because of the level that we experienced, right? But I can't even imagine what they experienced. So the accountability, keep praying and understand that it has to happen. We have to stay very strong on this. We cannot show them any weakness, because these are absolutely up to no good people. These are, you know, Leilani Hart was committing crimes before Richard was even born. She is a continuous problematic convicted criminal. It's just one problem after the other, one person after the other that she hurts and manipulates, one business after the other, y'all. Businesses that we absolutely talked to and confirmed, university um, that caused so many problems and hurting people. And, so no batting of the eyes, no crying, no shedding tears, nothing. We have to stay so strong against criminals like she is, like criminals like what Dallas Hart did, what Ruggiero did, what Donna Martin did, what McConville did, what Sean Bernabe did. Sean Bernabe lied to our faces continuously. And I would say, like the Chris Martin, also, um, absolutely up to no good. And, let's not forget Amber Chase. And we worked so hard um, to get them held accountable, even under this the Biden administration, because of the level of retaliation that we were getting. And for Joe Spencer to be paid millions of dollars, his team, millions of dollars, not from the Wood Crucius family. No, they filled in an application and required that that money comes from you and me, the state and federal taxpayers, and that money is public funds, taxable funds that could have been spent on so many other things, or kept in your pockets and my pocket. These are funds that were paid to Joe Spencer to commit this kind of fraud. The fraud on the federal court, the deals and seals and deal seals and backroom deals and more seals and the gag orders, and because those are agreements to gag people, to stop people from talking, to stop transparency. Transparency is the worst thing for them. They hate the light. They are like roaches. They want to be in the dark. They scatter. They want to keep the lights off. They want to keep people shut up. They do the intimidation. They did that to Richard. You see it very, very clearly with Glendon Oakley Jr. in those videos. In Richard's case, you see that very, very clearly. We have a video of him also. I have not posted that publicly because he's crying in it. It's if you want to know what it looks like, go to the public video of Glendon Oakley Jr. crying. It's the same tactic, the same people, the same criminal rogue group, military and civilian, that come together and intimidate and bully and threaten their lives. And they fulfilled that threat with Richard. Okay, they caused him immense bodily harm after immense mental harm. And they also we're getting information about the crime scene. We're getting information about the autopsies again. We're getting information about those that are coming forward that were suppressed before. So there are people that were just so afraid to come forward, or they were retaliated, their lives ruined for coming forward and doing the right thing. And so when that all needs to be explained and come out, so that when the retaliation is exposed, what they did, their actions, their criminal actions, that when the court martials happen, and they need to happen, y'all, they absolutely need to happen. I want to be right there on the front seat, um, when they happen. Uh, People need to stay vigilant and focused on justice and on the victims. Their minds need to be on the victims. And I would count, this whole, we need a whole, I don't know what they're going to do with Patrick Crucia's case. That case has been so manipulated, so orchestrated. I just can't even imagine. And Joe Spencer got paid for that kind of willing and dealing and manipulation. The Patrick Crucius's civil rights have been so violated over and over again. And if you need to see it, then go to the last hearings where in the state court, okay, there's a federal court and there's a state court, and he was tried. Now, he wasn't tried, it was a plea deal in the federal court, that Joe Spencer lied to the federal judge. He lied to the federal judge. He lied to the federal judge, okay, about Patrick Crucius. He wanted to end that jurisdiction, that federal jurisdiction. And you would think, this is like double jeopardy, that Patrick Crucius is being tried for the same thing twice. It is something that is really, really odd to me, also. But this is the way it is. And Joe Spencer lied, said Patrick Crucius is, understands what's going on, takes responsibility for the deaths of 23 individuals, and that it was, in rage and hate, and it was a hate crime, and he's racist and all that. And then on audio, he says the opposite. Okay. He says the opposite. So, and then we have the one family member in the sentencing hearing that questions Patrick Crucius, and Patrick Crucius shakes his head, right? He doesn't verbally answer. He shakes, no, I'm not a racist. No, I'm not a white supremacist. Yes, I'm sorry for all of this. Absolutely. He is not enraged. He's not saying, hell no. It's like this whole thing with Belen Rocha. They're trying to smear Richard, and in it, he's so beautiful. And, in the body cam footage, he's so beautiful. He's standing at attention, right? He's standing at attention. No one says he has to stand at attention, right? But he does. There's no attitude there at all. It's total respect, total compliance, total respect. And this is what we're seeing with Patrick Crucius. We're seeing nonverbal, total compliance, and yet he is being paraded around in the state case in prison clothes, in chains like a slave, right? His waist, his ankles, his everything, and in a bulletproof vest, right? And he's unkept, and he looks so malnourished. He looks like he's been starving, right? And they've been keeping him in El Paso for this state case and denying him his medical evaluations, for his medical health. And then when that finally happened in 2023, I guess they couldn't keep it any longer from him. Then they wanted to seal that so no one sees the results of the evaluation. And think about this. It's your business. It's your business and my business to be able to see it. Why? Because they used taxpayers' money to pay Joe Spencer, to pay the prosecutor and the defense. All of that was yours and mine, millions of dollars, and they want to play games with us and keep us from seeing what the results are in the Walmart mass shooting case, in Richard Halliday's case, a public servant, a Richard is a U.S. Army soldier. That is you and me. That is you and me. That is our investments in our military. And that has to all be transparent. And they committed the hugest fraud. I've been over this, and I know my voice sounds shaky because of the information that's coming in and some of the kindest things that have been very rare in these 4 years. And it gets a little emotional because it's kind of like at the beginning of all of this when the Navy guy that my dad talked to called me up and said, hey, this is who I am. And, you know, I don't know what I can do for you, but I'll do as much as I can. Your dad came in here and talked to me and, how can I help? And I just cried because that was before the military, the Army took us back, right? And we had nowhere to go. We had no jurisdiction, nobody to help us. And here this Navy NCIS called and said, I'll do whatever I can. How can I help? And I just cried like a baby. And he's like, are you okay, ma'am? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just need a moment because that is the kindest thing I've heard so far. And so the consideration, the kindness has been so rare. And even through these 4 years, when it comes to the military, where is Sean Bernabe's condolence letter? Right? Where is Donna Martin's condolence letter? Where is Eisenhower's? Where is, it's like, it's even, it's so hard to explain. And so for us to be getting this kindness at this time is a relief. And in that relief, it gets a little emotional. It gets what they have put us through is they have to be held accountable because no other family should have to go through this. No other family. And there's so many families that have gone through this. This, it's just terrible to hear it. So the obstruction in Richard's investigation is real. The sabotage in Richard's files and case and in the media, everything is real. They are absolute saboteurs, and they make fun of being saboteurs. They think it's funny. It's not funny. They are absolute saboteurs, and the time has come. Praise God. This is the information we're getting that accountability, the wave of accountability that even under the Biden administration that we were getting confirmation of, it is I don't know how to multiply it. We'll see. I'm going to let everyone know, um, keep everyone up to date on the accountability in this case, because so many of the violations in this case is violations against you, because and me, because they they misused. Well, I wrote some notes down. Um, the intimidation. Um, these are notes about Richard. The misinformation campaign to use, um, like Bob Moore using his 501c3, uh, to manipulate information. That is such a violation of us, against us. I'm just looking at the autopsy information coming in, the circumstances surrounding Richard's death coming in, the investigators that found no evidence of self harm or suicide. This was all a premeditated, code red murder. Um, we already knew that. It's confirmed. Um, it was, evidence um, shows and suggests that, and we know this, but they're being very careful, part of a broader conspiracy. Multiple individuals. We call it the rogue criminal group of saboteurs. The rogue criminal group of saboteurs. I had to add that last bit today. Um, a lot of delays, a lot of on purpose delays, and that the scene uh, of the crime showed signs of staging and alteration, an attempt to mislead and try to put a different kind of narrative. Um, there's also information coming in saying that Richard, they had drugged Richard or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. This is like poisoned him or something like that. I don't know. It's it also mentions the weapons. Uh, and the surveillance footage. So a lot of information is coming in, along with, of course, these audios of Joe Spencer. Joe Spencer is a huge part of Richard's case, y'all. A huge part. And I'll explain that. A huge part with Leilani Hart, a huge part with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, huge part with Bliss Avenue, with the Mormon lawyer, a huge part of all of this, the handling of Richard's personal belongings, isolating him, um, the handling of the witnesses, the surveillance footage. So that is absolutely Thomas Kane. That is absolutely Director of Emergency Services Thomas Kane. The chain of custody. Um, also was broken. That's what the information coming in suggests. Communications between key military personnel. Um, it's damning. It's so damning. Um, and we know that they lied to our face, and we know that. Um, also, we're getting information that there's a lot of fraud, and I don't want to say everything right now, but there's a lot of fraud in Richard's death. Okay, a lot of fraud. Um, we have been right. We have been right all along. That's what this information coming in. My message to everyone tonight is that Richard was whistleblowing. He, of course, reported it, documented it, and reported it. His leadership was involved in it. We know that because he told us. He told us that it was so bad. And they absolutely tried to isolate him and get him to stop in the reporting, but he would not. He would not agree to their terms. They're criminals, and he didn't want any part of it. They're major criminals, and they're sex cult criminals. And they're misusing their powers, their positions, and he wouldn't have any part of it. And so it got worse and worse. And this is a lot of manipulating. Berlin Rocha was used to manipulate. And he wouldn't have any part of it except for feeling for her, right? Feeling for her in a very gentlemanlike way, in an honorable way. And that's what the evidence shows and proves. So we have been right all along, and they have very bad intentions. This was a code red. And the Walmart mass shooting, they need to get to the bottom of that one, let me tell you, because there are shooters that are at large. And they gave 1,000 years to Patrick Crucius in a plea deal based on lies. That's fraud upon the federal court. So it is a really good start of the week. Hope you all had a great Sunday. Hope you have a wonderful Veterans Day. It is really a time to be celebrating and be upbeat because, especially if you're not in a situation like we are, because you really have great opportunity. The situation we're in is cautious, and we have to be very cautious about all the information that we're being given right now, because we don't know who's a bad player in this. We do know who. A lot of them are, but we're making sure that we can corroborate what the evidence or what the leads are that we're getting at this time. I just want to let you know that we're getting some kindness with that. And so, yeah, say a prayer. Say a prayer that we absolutely can discern what is real and what is not real, what is justice and what is not justice through this wave of accountability that we're going through right now. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Thank you, Anicia, for your prayers and your love. And I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.